Spamming refresh. Alrighty then. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the Storytime Network's very own Paradox Hour, where today we are joined by Mill,
Hello.
Jack,
Hello there.
Dylan.
Dylan. Okay, if that's look, I don't
And
know
I'm
if we
Dylan.
can mention names. And just pretend it's not there in the corner, and there's like a 30% chance it won't hurt you.
If it makes you feel any better, Fuzzy, Dylan's avatar is pointing a gun at you, so...
I mean, it's kind of angled upward, so it's a...
Could be a looping
one
shot.
shot.
Could be
Also,
a
what
looping
gives you
shot.
the impression that a gun would help?
That's fair. That is
Hmm.
kind of an eldritch that is lurking in the corner.
And it has a knife.
Mm.
And as we
That
all
it
know, you
does.
never bring a gun to a knife fight. And today we are talking about an absolute literary classic, just a lot of books worth of great content, and without a doubt, the best series ever written about a wizard named Harry. We are, of course, talking about the Dresden Files. What did you think we were talking about?
We're apparently not allowed to roast Harry Potter yet, which I don't think is fair.
I
Oh,
think
what?
we could
That
relax.
was all of my jokes. That was all of my jokes, bro.
So yeah, we're gonna be covering the first three books this week. Maybe the fourth if we still have time remaining. Maybe, who knows?
Perhaps.
So those files sure are Dresden-y, huh?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Does anyone Mill?
I knew you'd ask me this, and I considered preparing, and then I forgot. Basically,
Read the summaries anyway, please.
yeah. So, the first book we're covering is Stormfront. It is the very first book, though not the first... Technically not the first installment in the Dresden Files. There was a short story written before this, but it's in a collection of short stories we might get
Also
to at
not
some
very
point.
good.
Yeah.
To be fair, that was like... I mean, this
He did
book
it
in
for a
general...
course, I believe.
This book in general was like the first book he'd written properly.
So the thing is, absolutely, this is a series that gets better over time.
Oh yes.
The downside of that is that it starts off kind of weak.
That's why we planned for potentially having to cover the fourth book, because the first books aren't great.
Another
First two
point.
books are
That's exactly why Jim Butcher put so much nudity in the first book.
I mean,
Oh,
he
yeah.
was a horny 20-something-year-old.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
like, horniness is kind of a theme in general. Harry is very sexually frustrated.
He is.
And, like, in
Yeah.
about... There's what, like, there's 17 books out now. In probably, like, 13 or 14 of them, he's just very horny all the time.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That women keep
Like-
throwing themselves at him.
I mean, not all of them
Yeah,
do
well,
so for the reason
problem
I
is-
like them
But the
to.
problem is that most of the women who do throw themselves at him want to eat him
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
in a more...
They
much
have
more
that
literal
whole
sense
praying
than,
mantis vibe going on.
Yeah.
It's more than a vibe. I'm pretty sure it's not even an implication. It's just outright.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
he-
absolutely outright
Yeah, he
stated
straight
in
up
multiple
references
occasions.
praying mantises with a lot of them.
Yeah. Anyway, Stormfront. So the general description of the Dresden Files was named Harry Dresden working as officially as a wizard in the Yellow Pages, which should tell you how old these books are. That Yellow Pages was a thing.
Oh god.
Oh, come on. It was the 90s. That's not that long ago.
2000,
wait,
actually
that was 30
2000.
years ago.
2000. I believe that was when it was first published.
And it's more or less chronologically, like, every book is a year apart, and they more or less take place in the same...
Yeah,
year
same
that they're
time
published
period
in.
that they are published in. Yeah.
Well, except there was that whole thing where Jim Butcher took like a
we'll
3 years off in the middle.
we'll get to that in like half a dozen podcasts time. Anyway, Harry
It'll be a hot
Dresden,
mess.
Harry Dresden, wizard PI, you know, doing his
Chicago.
wizarding stuff in Chicago. In Stormfront, he is hired to oh god, what is he actually hired to do by Mono? Find a woman's husband. Yes. That's it. However, at the same time, he is also employed by the police, the Special Investigation Department, led by Karen Murphy, to consult on a case where a couple have their hearts exploded out of their chest mid-coitus.
Any couple. The man of the couple happens to be one of the major enforcers for the drug kingpin of Chicago in the series.
Well,
Well,
not drug king. It's not drug king.
Well, not drug
Kingpin, but
kingpin,
crime
mob
boss.
yeah.
Crime boss. Gentleman
yeah.
Johnny Marcone.
Who's a very
Marcone.
interesting
Well,
character.
I'm gonna be real with you. I never don't pronounce it Marconi in my head. I know that's wrong, like explicitly, but it rhymes.
I know, but it's
Marconi.
but it also sort of takes away his menace.
Like that's kind of the point. Look, I am of the opinion that he doesn't necessarily deserve that menace.
We'll get to that because that's referencing future stuff. Anyway, the two cases, as it turns out,
I'm referencing very far future stuff. I'm referencing book 17.
That's true. Yeah.
Let's not do that.
Yes, let's not do that, especially considering one of the people here hasn't read book 17.
Not yet.
Anyway, the two cases, as it turns out, intertwine. As it turns out that the husband is responsible for the murders. Meanwhile, Harry is also under pressure from both Murphy, who believes he did it, and Morgan, the warden from the White Council of Wizards, who also thinks Harry did it, because of course.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of weird remembering that Murphy thinks he did it, considering how much their relationship progresses throughout the series.
Pretty much the first time you see Murphy with Dresden, she arrests him.
Right, I forgot about that.
But
God.
yeah. And with Morgan, he's just kind of I feel like we should talk a little bit about like why we will
get to it. We'll get to it after the summary. So
okay,
eventually,
cool. Awesome.
Eventually, Harry figures out the true culprit is in fact the husband, tracks him down, and gives him a taste of his own medicine via giant scorpions.
Mm.
There was also a frog at some point.
Mm.
Oh yeah, the frog demon guy.
Yeah. Anyway,
they didn't have to specify it was a demon, you know. It's a frog.
Harry was also naked
You're talking
at the time.
You're talking about Chauncey, right? Or Clancy, I forget.
Chauncey.
Yeah. Chauncey is not a frog.
Chauncey is not a frog.
I don't even remember what he is, so I just imagine him as like a little like Phil from Hercules, from the Disney Hercules, but fell.
I don't remember because, just as a forewarning, I haven't read this book in a long time.
Yeah.
You know, that makes it's not even a surprising amount of sense. That just kind of makes sense.
Anyway, so the story behind this first book is that this is pretty much the first book that Jim Butcher wrote, and he did it while following his writing teacher's instructions to try and spite her, to show her, hey, it didn't work, and then it worked.
Whoops.
And then he went on to steal her entire course nearly wholesale and post a SparkNotes version of it on his forum.
In fairness,
that might have just been the site speaking.
In fairness, he does still promote her book about it when he's asked now.
That's fair, yeah.
That's fair.
Anyway, so getting onto the book proper. Yeah, it's a hell of an introduction with two naked people, holes in their chest, intertwined, let's say,
That's one way of putting it. Yes.
They were in the throes of passion, as it were.
I mean, I personally read this book when I was in. Oh, how old would I have been? Probably 8 or 9.
Oh, wow.
That's a bit young to be reading the Dresden Files.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It probably was, but I did it.
I didn't read it until college. Holy shit.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my dad was a fan of the books, so.
Oh, there you go.
And I ran out of books to read, so I just started reading those. As I said, it was. I mean, at that point, I'd already played through Mafia like multiple times, so it wasn't like I didn't know about, swearing and that sort of stuff. Yeah.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah.
Fun words.
Anyway.
Yeah. So Dresden Files, the first book has the distinction of being one of the weakest books in the series by quite a margin.
Probably second weakest, only second
only
to book 2.
I will say, even though they are the weakest of the series, they are still pretty good reads. Like it's not, they're not bad
they're not
books,
awful, but they just
the other books
struggle
are just so much better.
They just struggle to measure up to other
pale
books.
in comparison.
Yeah.
Kind of pale.
But
they're still better than Twilight.
I mean,
that's not even a bar. I'm not even gonna say it's a high bar. It's not even a bar. The only thing that
the bar is subterranean.
To clear that bar is literal ripoffs of it, like 50 Shades. That's like the only thing that fails to clear that bar.
You're right.
How much higher is something like Hunger Games, do you think?
It's substantially higher than that bar.
The booty knocks the pole, if you know what I'm saying.
I like the Hunger Games well enough, but we're off topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Dylan, as you're going to learn on this podcast,
we get
being
distracted
off topic
a lot.
is the real meat and potatoes of the podcast. The
point.
topic of the week is just additional flavor. Really, getting off topic is where the meat and bones is.
That's where we get the real talking done. Anyway.
But yeah,
Let's talk about Harry Dresden. Let's talk about this guy.
Let's talk about Harry because
he's very tall.
He is very tall. He is
like
what
6'6",
6'7", something like that.
Yeah.
NBA.
Yeah. So based on how the descriptions and the comparisons, I'd say at least 6'8".
Yeah, he's just very tall.
He's
of course, because
also
he's wiry.
Notoriously hates hats.
Yeah.
Appears with a hat in every single cover.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The cover artist likes poking Butcher.
Which, I believe he specifically requested no hats.
And he got nothing but hats.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Right into that.
I'm sure it was an accident the first couple of times. Once he was actually told no hats, he probably just did it just for shits and giggles. Anyway, so
I don't doubt that.
So the introduction to Harry is the mailman basically taking issue with Harry's job title of wizard.
Oh yeah, thinks it's a joke right off the bat.
Which is pretty much an establishing character moment.
Kind of shows you how the common folk, how seriously they would take him, which is not at all.
It brings up a little bit of a post, like later on, it kind of brings up a little bit of a plot hole almost, because here's the thing. Masquerade is not very well maintained, all things considered.
Yeah, the masquerade holds only because most people decide that it's like easier to ignore or explain away what they've seen.
Willful ignorance, right?
Yeah.
Like the only reason the masquerade holds is, wow, so it's very reflective of real life, huh?
Yep.
Yeah.
People just refusing to believe empirical facts that are presented to them to substitute their own take on things. Because
I think it's much more realistic than what they use in like the Percy Jackson series to explain how like regular people don't notice everything else going on.
We don't talk about the Percy Jackson series here.
Because I like it.
Well, we're not gonna talk about it now because we're talking about the Dresden Files.
Okay, yes, fair enough. But I'm just like, I have gripes that I will bring up when we're gonna do an episode on it, and I have.
When
gripes.
you get to do your episode on Percy Jackson, when I get my roast of Harry Potter.
That's fair.
I'm
Very fair.
fully with you getting your roast of Harry Potter. Why are you blaming me for stopping that? I'm not the one stopping that.
We'll talk about it off stream. Anyway, so yeah, that's basically Harry's life. He is a private detective. He takes, cases based on, who walks into his office, but he also consults with the Chicago PD. More specifically, as I said, Special Investigations, which is basically the police department that is basically there for the weird stuff, to explain away the weird stuff.
Janitor's closet, where they spread they just push everything in there that they don't like.
Yeah, pretty much.
He also gets paid like very little, if any at all, like for the consultancy stuff, and also for.
Well, no, he does get paid. He does get paid fairly well for the consultancy. It's just they can't really afford to. It's rare that they get a case that they actually need him, and B, like, the government doesn't exactly approve of him.
Yeah.
Again, that brings up a bit of a plot hole later on, but it's kind of like, at this point it makes sense. So to summarize Harry Dresden, wizard, very tall, pretty poor,
more or less a hermit,
and really, really horny.
I mean, he is described in a later story as Gandalf if he was on Red Bull and crack.
And
Which is
also,
shockingly accurate.
like, I feel like we're underplaying the horniness aspect.
He is horny.
He's very, very horny. Like,
I mean, honestly, I would say like not more so than like the average man. I would say. And especially given his line of work with how much his testosterone gets pumping because he has to fight so much, it's probably a little bit more than usual, but
I'm sure it's not just the testosterone that is pumping during his line of work.
Yeah, so basically this book was very much based off sort of the noir detectives, and so it, goes into waxing lyrical descriptions of characters, but especially female characters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is an explanation and not a excuse, because
it gets pretty bad at times.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay. Some books it's okay. It's remarkably well done in that the worst descriptions happen when, in story, Harry is at his horniest because he hasn't had some for a while.
Like, basically, yeah, which I feel like there's just like. There's ways
a good example.
That.
A good example from the first book is when he meets the chick. What's her name? That's like
Susan.
Employed. Yeah, no, not Susan. I'm talking about who is it? That's the chauffeur assistant that sometimes
Linda Randall.
That's her,
Question
Linda.
mark. I can't remember.
Yeah,
does she show up at any point after the?
No, she dies in this book.
I know.
Yeah. But she when she first shows up, she's alive. She's driving around the family that's funding the Cells' murder spree, and she there's a good moment taken, maybe about half a page, where he's describing like how sexually attractive this lady is. So like you can see it right off the bat.
Look, he's horny, but like at least it's only in his own head.
Yes.
It's also treated as a genuine character flaw, the fact that he gets so horny so often.
Yeah. No, I mean look, Harry is very respectful of women, possibly, too respectful at times. But...
Oh yeah, no, that does get that does come up.
That
He
also bites him in the ass.
Yeah, no, so he's respectful of women at all times, even when they are trying to, I don't know, murder him or commit genocide or just also an eldritch abomination or, just... He's got that whole thing. He's got a bit of a...
It's for his own good.
He's got a bit of Randall Thor in him, and that's never a good thing, as we've established.
He's a bit too much of a Sanji in that case.
Yeah. Not quite as bad as Sanji, in that Sanji outright refuses to fight women, but yeah, Harry is...
Yeah.
Harry is very chivalrous, let's say.
That, like, he doesn't want to hurt any woman ever, even if
she
happens to be an elder.
It's not that he doesn't want to hurt them, it's just that if... He outright states multiple times, if there is a woman in trouble, he'll help regardless of how stupid a decision it is.
Yep.
Again,
that's Harry just in a nutshell.
Very much a character flaw. Like,
yeah. Oh no!
Multiple times in the series, that's literally his enemies are like, yeah, no, this. They're like, really? Why do you not learn? Like his enemies have called him on it. People actively trying to kill him have said, you really need to get over this whole like hero complex when women are involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when people that are trying to kill you bring it up, that's when you know, like, an intervention needs to be held at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I think when it gets to the point that, like, you save a woman and then suddenly she just wants to sleep with you right afterwards, you gotta be like, oh, maybe I'm doing this wrong.
Yeah, no, usually... Yeah, no, that also happens a fairly frequent amount, but as we've established... he seems to be, like, he seems to spew praying mantis pheromones all over the place.
Yeah.
Is the thing. Because, like, the people who consistently find him incredibly attractive are more or less exclusively the praying mantises of the world.
To be fair,
there's a lot of those. Like, I'm starting to wonder how much of it is Harry Dresden and how much is Jim Butcher, because, like, it's like...
I mean,
concerning
if nothing else, it gives Butcher a reason for Harry not to sleep with these women.
Yeah.
Because he's at least got enough brains in it. He at least keeps enough brains in his head from traveling to his dick to think, yeah, probably a bad idea to, sleep with this woman who will almost certainly kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily in that order, too.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Don't act like that's the weirdest thing that's gonna come up in the Dresden Files.
No, it's not.
Butcher likes to get kinky.
That's true. There was...
We will discuss that in the next video.
Yeah. Well, there is something we can talk about in this video. Isn't there, like, the failed love potion or whatever? Or not failed love...
No, the entirely too successful love potion.
And that's where the frog comes in.
Okay, so to explain,
he has
Harry's
skull
love
that's also horny.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about Bob. We really need
Bob,
to talk
I
about
love
Bob.
Bob the Skull, who is actually a spirit of air and knowledge.
Yep.
Who is basically there to explain things for both the audience and Harry.
Yeah, because Harry's not the smartest. He's not the brightest crane in the tool shed.
Yeah, so that's another thing. Harry's education has kind of been all sorts of fricked. Like, it's not his fault. Mind you. But, like, both his... So, he... because of reasons and his traumatic backstory, he didn't really get to finish high school. And so he had to get a GED. And also, his magical education was very disjointed.
Well, let's just go through Harry's history. His mother, who was a witch... wizard, whatever you call it, died during childbirth. His father died when he was...
Completely naturally, by the way. Completely naturally died
no
of
foul
childbirth.
play there at all.
No sort
going
of,
on there.
Magical shenanigans.
His father died of an aneurysm when he was... How old was he when...
Like 5 or
6
years old?
Then he spent some time in the foster system, I believe.
Or no, the Ozarks.
No. Foster system first.
Foster system. Then he was adopted by
Justin Dumorn.
Which, you know,
the evil.
When you're named after the Morning Star, you have to wonder. Also, the previous owner of Bob at the time when Bob was also evil.
Yes.
Which we'll get into later. But Justin Dumorn basically was a horribly abusive, like a textbook abusive parent who just brainwashed him and tried to murder him.
Well, tried to brainwash him. Tried to brainwash him.
Brainwashed him into loving him sincerely over the course of a few years, then tried to magically brainwash him, which led to him burning him to death, which led to Harry burning the house down with him in it. And then he kind of had to,
well, because of the White Council of Wizards has 7 laws of magic. The first one, thou shalt not kill. Which Harry,
it's a gray area because it's thou shalt not kill by directly magical means.
Well, no, it's just with magic.
There's a lot of.
It doesn't even say directly magical means. It just says with magic. And Harry got off. And it's basically, if you break one of those laws, you get executed via sword to the neck. And Harry got away with it based on the self-defense clause.
It is a magical sword to the neck.
Yes.
Yeah, that too.
And as a result, yes, he was sent to live in the Ozarks with a wizard called Ebenezer McCoy, who is a
very interesting character.
Who we will get to in later books. Yes. When does he first get introduced?
Book 3 or 4.
The first meeting of the White Council. So I
book 4. That's book 4. That's Summer Night.
No.
That's Summer Night. No, it wasn't. It was Summer Night. It was Summer Night.
Wasn't there a pre-war meeting?
No, there wasn't. It was the war meeting.
Okay. Yeah. Then it's book 4.
Yeah. So yes. At which point, he eventually moves to Chicago, which apparently was picked entirely by random.
Yeah.
In terms of a setting for the book.
Kind of a running theme in parts of this series, if I'm going to be honest.
And then he becomes a detective, and is gainfully employed as a wizard.
Which is apparently perfectly viable.
Well, you'll always get, the, let's just say the weirdos who still believe in magic fully. In fairness, they have a point in this series.
They also tend not to last very long.
No.
That's true. The second you know too much, you get killed off by something or other.
Knowledge is dangerous. That is a tenet of this book, book series.
I feel like something that's actually kind of important about Harry's father. His father was a stage musician.
Stage magician. And he named him after a bunch of famous magicians.
Full name, which don't tell any of the magical creatures because they'll use it to do magical sex things to him. Well, some of them. Some of them will just kill him horribly. But his full name is Harry Blackstone Copperfield Dresden, which real subtle there.
Yeah.
You got Houdini, you got Copperfield. I forget who Blackstone is, but yeah, it's 3 different magicians that he's named after. Oh,
and his last name Dresden comes from the city of Dresden, which was firebombed in World War II.
Which is distressingly relevant because Dresden really likes fire, and
he really likes to play with fire.
And things tend to...
Buildings tend to not do well around him, let's just say.
Yeah, they do.
That is a running gag of the books, which I honestly really love.
Yeah. Fun fact about his last name. When I told my grandfather I was reading the Dresden Files, he did think it was about the firebombing of the city Dresden.
Firebombings, yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, so going back to Stormfront, on Harry's way back from the crime scene in which the chests exploded, Harry is picked up by local crime boss, Gentleman Johnny Marcone, who.
Marcone. Please, just for my sake.
Marcone.
No.
Just you know what? Then it's fine. I'll say it whenever.
I'll just say it. Yeah.
Okay. So sorry.
If you're gonna call him Marcone, give me this. Call him Gentleman John Marcone instead of Johnny.
No, because it has to rhyme.
No, it doesn't have to
I'm
rhyme.
with Fuzzy on this. I am with Fuzzy on this. It has to be Johnny Marconi. This is the hill I will die on.
Anyway, he is picked up by local mob boss, gentleman Johnny Marconi, who attempts to bribe Harry into leaving the case. They then
that goes over well.
Yeah,
which
because
of course Harry thinks is suspicious as fuck.
It's slightly suspicious in fairness, but Harry is ridiculously honorable, and so refuses.
Again, this is quite frankly a character flaw.
Look, if he was actually willing to be a little bit shadier, he probably could actually make a good living as a wizard.
Yeah.
Well, it's not just that. It does get him into trouble, right? Like the fact that there are times when
it does.
Could visibly walk away, and it wouldn't even be like a stain on his honor. Like, from a logical point of view, it was only... He's very much an honor before reason sort of person.
Yes.
For the most part.
Yes.
Most of the times, as we mentioned, it involves women.
Yes, no,
whenever a woman's involved, you cannot keep Harry Dresden away from the case.
Mm-hmm. That also doesn't help.
Even when the woman in question doesn't want him near the case, you can't keep him away. It's just like, why do this? Like, why are you doing this with your life?
Mm-hmm.
You're taking way too long to get through the summary of the first book.
I've already gone through the summary. We're just going through parts of it.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just
We need to talk about like the first time we actually see Harry cut loose with magic, too. In the book. Which I believe was the elevator fight, right?
Yeah, with the scorpion.
Yes.
Yeah, he had to blow up the elevator in his office building.
Basically, Harry was given a scorpion talisman by the Big Bad's wife. The Big Bad being Victor Sells.
Wife's the one who hired him to find her husband, who is the Big Bad.
Monica Sells.
And she's... Yep.
As it turns out...
She's also kind of a baddie.
Yep.
As it turns out, the Scorpion is still linked with Victor Sells, who then, late in the book, has it grow to start growing. Unfortunately, Murphy is investigating Harry's office, because, as I said before, she thinks he did it, and gets stabbed by the stinger. So Harry takes Murphy into the elevator in his building, and I should point out that one of the things that is magic makes electronics go haywire.
Yeah. Magic and electronics do not mix in this series.
So
at all.
The example I believe is given a couple of times is he can't have a credit card because he can't have a cell phone. He can't have a credit card because the magnetic strip gets worn away by magic. If he walks into a room with a computer, the hard drive explodes.
Yeah, sometimes dramatically, sometimes...
As we learn later, this is because Harry is kind of powerful as a wizard, as far as wizards go, but especially in the early books, he kind of, like, tires out really easily, because that's the thing. So magic is very much... It's not quite cast from hit points, though it can be. It is, however, cast from stamina.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing about that is that Harry is very, very powerful. As he's described, the White Council is...
terrified of him.
No, it's ruled by the Senior Council of Wizards.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as raw magical horsepower, in his words, goes... He's a match for any member of the Senior Council, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, they could absolutely hand it...
Not at this point in the series.
No, even early on in the series. Series,
he is in the top 20 most powerful wizards in the world.
However,
I believe.
no. Let me finish.
No. I am. Yeah. Finish.
So the thing is, most of the Senior Council, and in fact, a lot of the White Council, including people younger than him, could hand him his ass in their sleep, because they're just so much more efficient with magic.
That's the thing.
So
you don't get like prestige in the White Council for power necessarily. You get it for how efficiently you use that power.
Yeah, it's all about control.
Kind of for practical reasons, right?
So to give an example, this is from a later book. Harry, when he summons fire, it's generally described, certainly in the early books, it's described as like a telephone pole-sized bolt of fire, basically.
Think of it like a fire hydrant versus like a water saw. Like a fire hydrant versus a water saw. One has just tons and tons of volume. The other not so much volume, but so precisely focused that it can do so much more damage than a fire hydrant can.
Yeah. So
is that
Harry,
a good analogy?
Sort of.
That's
yeah.
a very good analogy.
Harry's like telegraph pole. You know, it's big, but it's so dispersed that it will only do so much damage. Later in the book, there is a wizard who also uses a blast of fire, but it is a needle point and just cuts through everything.
There's one point where Harry can do it, but I think that's later on, and to say how he does it is kind of a spoiler.
Yes. So
here's Harry's problem. It's really big, but he doesn't know how to use it, so it kind of just flops around and sprays everywhere.
Yep.
You know, like a dick.
Way to explain the joke.
Wow,
that's the joke.
Oh my god! Oh my god! There's two of you. Good lord! I have to put up with it when Jack does it. Now I have to put up with you too.
At some point, I'm gonna have to get my brother on, and then there'll be two sets of
2
brothers.
Mills. I think 2 Mills is better than 2 Jacks, in my opinion.
Anyway, we got distracted. So Harry ends up in.
Is that unusual in any way, shape, or form?
Harry ends up in an elevator with Murphy. The Scorpion is on top of the elevator car. So Harry uses a was it a force spell or a wind spell?
Wind spell, if I remember correctly.
Wind spell to send the elevator car up,
I'll be right
crushing.
back. My dog is summoning me.
That's fine. Crushing the Scorpion against the ceiling, and then as the elevator falls, he uses his shield to absorb the impact and survive, resulting in when he leaves the wreck of the elevator, he yells, "Take that, Victor Shadowman! Ha! Ha! Give me your best shot, you murderous bastard! I'm going to take my staff and shove it down your throat," in front of 2 very surprised paramedics.
I want to say just this one thing. The entire series, the paramedics are the chillest motherfuckers ever.
They kind of are.
They just take everything and roll. They just roll with everything. It's hilarious.
Admittedly, they drink to do that, but yes. The other big show of magic that Harry does is making an entrance into the mob-owned club Varsity. He blows the door off its hinges, melts the jukebox, and explodes every light bulb in the place, saying, little pig, let me in."
Yeah. These are
Not
the
to
parts
mention
of Harry that I love.
Again, and to show Harry's personality, he blew the door outwards, so to avoid splinters hitting bystanders in the club.
Yeah, and considering the varsity club is a brothel, more or less, he just didn't want to hit any of the women in there.
No, I don't think it was a brothel at that point. I think it was just a club.
Not at that point, no.
It does become a brothel later on.
Okay. Sorry, spoilers.
It's fine. It's not that big of a spoiler, frankly.
Not super relevant or super...
But yeah. Also, moment of awesome for Marcona. I can say it like that because Fuzzy's not here. Who is completely unfazed by this.
Oh yeah, no. He's consistently a really interesting character.
Can I mention a slight spoiler that, again, it's not much of it. It doesn't have any real relevance. It's just funny. Later on, it's revealed that Marcone remembers this and has the dramatic entry points of his establishments furnished with flimsy doors. Meanwhile, these strategic entry points are equipped with reinforced steel.
That tracks Marcone.
So he prepares for Dresden.
He prepares entirely for Dresden.
Like, honestly, the true love story of the Dresden Files is not Dresden with any of the women in his life. It's all Dresden and Marconi.
There is a
degree of sexual tension there. Yes.
Because there's so many times where he's like, I want to respect this guy, but I can't because he's so dangerous.
Yeah.
I find it hilarious how accurate that is.
Yeah. Anyway, few more things from this book, I think, then we can move on. First of all, the reason Marcone is really involved in this is because Victor Sells is actually creating an illegal drug called 3i, which actually forcibly opens something called the Sight. Basically, wizards have...
Can I explain this part?
Go ahead.
The Sight? Yeah, the Sight is basically, it's been described in a bunch of different ways in the book. Apparently, it's a different experience for anybody who opens their Sight, but for Harry, it tends to be a more visual kind of sense. But what it is basically the veil between what is mortal and what is kind of spiritual or ghostly, whatever. It just kind of gets ripped away when you look through the Sight. And you can see the quote-unquote true form of whatever you lay your eyes on. The only drawback of it is that whatever you see through the Sight is
never
permanently etched in your memory. Like, you will never forget it, and every time you think about what you saw with the Sight, it's as if it's happening right in front of you.
Yeah, which, fine if you're looking at nice things, but if you happen to look at some Eldritch Abomination,
like
then...
a Skinwalker.
We will talk about this when we get to that, because
but yes,
it does happen.
Basically, so it is a drug that opens the Sight for anyone who takes it, resulting in, people basically being driven insane by it.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, Harry very specifically makes sure to try and only open it very sparingly and only for very short periods of time. It is forced open for these drug takers, and they cannot close it. And so, not surprising they go insane very quickly.
Okay. There's also that one part where someone who is high off of that stuff looks at Harry and freaks the fuck out.
Yes, and mentions
what the hell
mentions
did he see?
Mentions a name. I believe he mentions He Who Walks Behind, which clearly never going to come up again.
Later.
Definitely not going to be relevant.
Yeah.
So that's basically why Marcone is involved. Other things to mention, as said, Morgan is hanging around, which results in quite an awesome moment where when Harry figures out where Victor Sells is, he tries to... He's in his magical pub, McAnally's, where Morgan is as well. Tries to leave. Morgan tries to stop him, so Harry hits him with a chair.
Yep.
Oh my god.
And this is not one of those, flimsy wooden chairs that breaks on impact. This is the type of chair where if you hit somebody, the person breaks on impact.
Yeah. I think he still managed to break the chair on him, though, didn't he?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
But also, okay, Morgan is a very interesting character, at least in my mind.
No, he is a very interesting character, but he is just here as a secondary antagonist to, annoy
He's very
Dresden.
much the Javert.
It's also spoiler central, because, it's very difficult to talk about.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot about Morgan that you don't find out.
Yeah, so the fact that he's an interesting character, I mean... The problem is that a lot of that interestingness comes due to information we get much later in the series.
Yeah.
But to lightly explain who Morgan is, he's like a centuries-old wizard of the White Council who's basically the executioner of that council.
He is the executioner. He is a member of the Wardens, who are basically the White Council's cops,
military,
army, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
And he is basically
he's very high up. He's second in command, more or less.
He is basically also Harry's parole officer.
Yeah, and he hates
Harry.
That's the big thing, really. Which again, he is apparently just a real hard ass who thinks Harry is irredeemable, and as a result, hounds him. But as we later learn, which we're not going to talk about right now, but we'll just leave this little tidbit for you. It turns out being that old sometimes has disadvantages in certain areas. Is all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so I think we can. Well, no, we do have to talk about Susan as well. Susan is reporter for a newspaper that basically reports on supernatural stuff and sort of most of the time gets things wrong, but Susan has a tendency to get things right.
And she's often described, one of the things that's like most often used to describe her is that she could be a quote unquote legitimate journalist at any of the biggest news outlets, but she chooses to write for the supernatural outlet because she believes that what they're doing is better at informing the public.
So she's, perfect for Harry, basically.
I'm going to say something that may be a somewhat controversial opinion. I have a fairly strong dislike for Susan as a character.
Honestly,
no,
that's
like,
not. I'm not the biggest fan of her.
She has issues.
We will get to why in book 3.
We'll get to why in book 3, then book 5, and then really get into it in book 13, if you know what I'm saying.
Anyway, so she and Harry try to go on a date, but
I just want to say one thing? A lot of book 13 is Ebenezer's fault. Just gonna go right out there.
12 or book 13?
I think you mean 12.
Which one is changes?
12.
Changes is 12.
I agree. 12? I agree that it should be 13.
No, because Ghost Story is 14.
No, Ghost Story is 13.
Ghost Story is 13.
Ozzy.
I absolutely agree with you. Like, it seems that way, but no. Like, changes is 12, Ghost Story is 13. No, I agree with you. I mix that up all the time.
Skin Game is 15. Okay, Skin Game is 15. Yeah.
Skin Game is 15. Yeah.
That makes sense now.
As I said, no, I agree with you. It seems weird when you think about it, but it is actually, that's how it works.
Totally off topic, but I do think that Skin Game is my favorite book out of the series.
It's probably my favorite, if only because Michael's really good in that book, and
Michael
is
my favorite character.
We can get to Michael. Let's just run through Stormfront and probably Full Moon very quickly. So,
we're more or less done with Stormfront.
All I want to say is the final battle where Victor Sells summons a bunch of those scorpions again. And Harry survives by casting a household spell to use a broom to sweep the scorpions off the landing onto the ground floor.
Yes, very much.
Hurricane.
Boo. Yep. But he also finishes it with the line, "I'm pretty sure I swept up all the dirt too. When I do a spell, I do it right."
Except he doesn't.
Yeah. My man's has
back on the whole Susan thing. I did want to talk about when the demon attacks them in Harry's apartment and tears it apart.
Yeah.
Also,
because
do we remember why? Oh, by the way, Bob is horny, so he has the make a love potion. We talked about that, but do we remember why Susan drank the love potion?
Oh, because she was meant to drink the escape potion, but drank the love potion by mistake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then she was trying to fuck Harry while he was really trying to keep the demon.
While he was naked as well.
Yeah,
he just come out of the shower.
There is so much nudity in this book. God.
Yeah. Because I'm not sure if we've mentioned a lot of the spells that Victor Sells is using are being powered by storms and orgies.
Orgy porgy.
Very kinky orgies by very kinky orgies, if what one dude says is right.
Part of me wonders if that love potion. I mean, I know it's not technically a love potion, but I wonder if that love potion is what kind of got Susan involved in the story so deeply in the future books.
No, because she was interested in Harry to begin with. It was just it was just an unfortunate event that happened to happen.
And to clarify, it is not a love potion. It's basically just a horny potion.
Yeah, it just reduces inhibitions.
Yeah.
It's about love in the same way Aphrodite is the goddess of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we should move on to the next book.
Right.
There's not a lot to talk about with Full Moon except for
Full Moon is very
blast a werewolf through a building with a spell, which is awesome.
Well,
also the thing is,
but through the eternal dichotomy and duality of Harry Dresden, he does that one feat of badassery, but then he fixates on like a topless werewolf lady's nipples for a while.
Yep.
It's like
for a whole page.
Really awkward. Yeah, it's like really awkward.
An entire page describing boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm actually gonna take this up too. I'm gonna take a quick bathroom.
Of a woman who is actively trying to kill him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
kill and possibly also eat.
Harry has priorities.
Yeah, but yeah, the thing about Full Moon is it's very similar in its plot beats to Stormfront. Oh, I should change the cover. There we go. Full Moon. So what is important about this book is that it introduces the Alphas, a group of teenage shapeshifting werewolves, or teenagers who can shapeshift into werewolves.
Into wolves. So, okay, we should go into some lore here. There are 4 varieties of werewolf in this series, of which I remember 3 of them.
Go on. See if I can remember. See if I can remember the 4th.
The first variety, which is what the alphas are, is basically they're things that actually they're a class of magical being. They're basically a subclass of wizard who they're not really full wizards, right? But they can do one magical thing.
One
and
trick,
they can
yes.
do it. They have one trick and they can do it pretty well. They're never going to be as overtly powerful as a full wizard, but they also don't have a lot of the technological hang-ups, so it's easier for them to just function in day-to-day society.
I believe they are just classed as werewolves.
Yes,
I'm fairly sure that's their classification. Yes.
Oh, you're talking about the different types of werewolf right now?
Yeah. Let's see if Fuzzy can get his 3, and then we can figure out the 4th.
So the second, they're basically shapeshifters who can only shapeshift into one thing and back.
Yes.
Really good at it. They're one-trick ponies, but they're really damn good at that one trick.
Yes.
Of course, it's not really much good against an actual wizard, but you know.
Let's keep going.
Okay. Then there's the Hexane Wolves.
Yes.
Which is the antagonists of this book. They're the antagonists in the sense that they're the reason that bad things happen.
Yes.
They also do a fair number of bad things, but they are also the reason bad things happen. So they basically have a magical item.
Yes.
Right? They're little punks who couldn't.
They have belts. They have belts that turn them into wolves.
It's not always a belt, but
it's not always a belt. But in this instance, it's a belt.
In this instance, it's a belt. It's a magical belt that allows them to turn into a wolf. But because it was made with the forbidden flavors of magic, it also leads to them losing their humanity, becoming more aggressive, gaining a thrill from killing. Basically, everything that wolves are. Basically, they infect the noble nature of wolves with their humanity.
Yes.
Is the thing.
In a way, yeah. They're more possessed by the spirit of a wolf than actually just transforming into a wolf.
No, not even that. They're like, they take all the worst parts of wolves and humans and mash them together.
Yes.
Right? Because, like, wolves aren't really, like, they don't kill for sport. They're fairly family-oriented. They're, like, pretty nice to each other. It's kind of just, it's like, they don't attack unprovoked. Wolves are kind of chill, as long as you don't, piss them off.
Yes. Anyway, third one?
The third one, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Luguru, I believe.
Okay. So they're
the classic werewolves.
They're the classic, during the full moon, unstoppable beast that is only weak against silver.
Actually.
Inherited silver.
Inherited silver,
yes, specifically inherited silver. Right. Which comes into play later. This is one of the most odd... Like, this is probably the single strongest example of early installment weirdness I can think of. Harry, apparently, off-screen, has an apprentice who is killed off almost instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not necessarily an apprentice, but just somebody he was...
advice to.
Giving advice to.
No,
sort of a minor practitioner.
Fuzzy. You missed the wolf type.
Because I forgot
Lycanthrope.
Lycanthropes.
Also, lycanthropes are the actual traditional werewolves.
No, they're not. They are the people who have the spirits of wolves, basically. They are the sort of the human versions of Hexane Wolves in that they are.
They remain human, but like when the full moon comes, they act as wolves. But they're still
not even the full moon. They just generally act like
they
savage
wolf
wolves.
Like at full moon.
Furries. Got it.
Yeah, they're furries. They're vicious furries.
They're literally animal soul barbarians.
Yes.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah, so they're furries. Got it. So yeah, those are the four kinds of wolves, werewolves rather, and yeah. So Kim Delaney, to the point that he explicitly refers to her as his first apprentice in an incredibly important, pivotal moment in the series, which you guys should know what I'm talking about. Like in Skin Game, I believe is when it happens, where certain facial features are involved.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Like the fact that it's someone who is apparently that important to him is just kind of off-screen murdered and not even mentioned. Like,
in fairness, it's less that she was important to him alive and more that he blames himself for her death.
He still, like, on multiple occasions has referred to her as his first apprentice. Not just that time. That was just the most emotional.
Fair enough. But it was...
So it's kind of just like...
It wasn't... I still wouldn't say it was a true apprenticehood. It was very much a very much casual thing, it felt like.
Yeah, but since when has Harry cared about, like, the more... classification of stuff like that? He kind of just goes all in one way or another.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe part of the reason he goes all in at later on in the story is because of what happens to Kim Delaney. Because like he does like beat himself up over being wishy-washy about giving her advice, not giving her enough advice about certain things.
Yeah, not giving her enough information. Yeah.
So like I think that
absolutely like.
Oh God,
he kind of screwed her over.
We haven't mentioned a key part of Harry, which is that he wears the coat from El Dorado.
The trench coat.
The duster from El Dorado.
And the fun part of that is he enchants. So enchanting is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he enchants the ever-loving crap out of it to the point that it's basically a functional suit of armor.
Vest. Yeah.
It's bulletproof, it's slash-proof. It's like basically the only thing it's not good against is bludgeoning, which again is something that comes up.
It does sort of blunt the impact, but it's still, you know, if you get hit by a bullet, even if it doesn't go through you, it's still imparting a lot of kinetic energy.
No, but
if you're getting pummeled by something that can lift a Mack truck, then there's only so much that an enchanted cloak can do for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, like I think all we really need to sort of mention is sort of some of the more awesome moments of this book, like as was mentioned, Harry blasting a Lugaroo through 2 buildings.
Mm-hmm. That was using the force rings, wasn't it? That's another piece of his enchanted gear. The force rings.
No. That was just a fire blast. I believe. Yeah, I don't know.
Come in until much later.
I haven't read this book for a while either. Yeah. The other thing was he blasted out the tires on a semi truck that was following him after having, you know, jumped out of a moving car.
Oh yeah, something that we haven't really mentioned about Harry is that he has a fucking revolver that he uses.
Yeah, he has he has a variety of cool ass guns throughout the series, but because of the effect magic has on technology, he believes that if he has anything more recent than a revolver, it will jam on him. Which means that because of the way magic works, if he believes it'll jam, it probably will jam.
Yeah, so that's the thing. A lot of Harry's issues do come from the fact that he has sort of these mental hang-ups, and because so much of magic is mental, is very much a belief. So, like, belief isn't, like, going to let you
fly or anything.
Yes, but belief does have much more, like, almost nefarious, subtle influences on magic. One of the primary problem ones being that if you believe that something's going to go wrong with your magic, it's probably going to go wrong in exactly that fashion.
Yeah.
Murphy's Law.
So Murphy's Law. Like it's almost the opposite, actually, because it's just like it's not that anything can go wrong, will go wrong. It's that specifically what you want to go wrong, or what you don't want to go, what you believe will go wrong, will go wrong.
What you expect to go wrong.
Will,
and that actually brings me to an important point about magic that Harry himself explains throughout the book at multiple occasions, that like to have any spell work at all, you have to believe internally that it will work. It's the same concept. Like you have to believe that the spell will work for it to actually work.
Yes.
Like even if you do all the steps right, but you don't believe the spell's going to work, it'll crap out on you.
It can be awkward at times.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But yes.
And there's also the little part that this like doesn't really kind of come up until later in the books, but I can mention it now because it's not really a spoiler. But all the like artifacts that are traditionally used in magical spells and stuff, technically not even needed. Like they just help focus the will or the mind of the practitioner.
To be fair, they can be additionally enchanted to provide
yes.
Yeah, they can provide
outside of just being a focus.
But yes, that's what Harry does because, as we said, he is so inefficient as a wizard, especially for evocation spells, which is basically quick and dirty magic. There's also thaumaturgy, which is basically sort of uses circles to focus the magic, but for evocation he has to use
thaumaturgy is ritual magic.
For evocation he has to use stuff like his staff and his blasting rod and his shield bracelet to focus the energy, to make sure that he's not using it too inefficiently.
Basically,
certainly for me, the last sort of awesome moment, Marconi comes back, is tied upside down over as basically as bait for the Lugaroo, uses a knife he had hidden from his captors, and throws the knife to cut a rope that allows Murphy and Harry to escape the pit that they are in. While, as I said, while hanging upside down in the dark.
And the main part of this book that like is called back to a lot is that part with the pit and the Lugaroo, and like because there's a video taken of something that goes out on the web, but then mysteriously disappears.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like that there is a video taken of Harry finally managing to kill the Lugaroo with his silver pentacle amulet that he got from his mother, and it is sent into the news, and it is mysteriously disappeared.
And Murphy also features in that video.
Probably not gonna be at all important in any way later in the series.
Clearly not.
Amulet. Though they also, the other thing that we kind of didn't mention is that in the initial go around, they do use Murphy's grandma's cutlery.
That's true.
Yeah.
He melted down into bullets and used that to.
No, from her deceased aunt's earrings.
Oh yeah.
I feel like Murphy's grandma's cutlery was involved at some point.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think it was an idea, but they vetoed it or something.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm willing to bet that Murphy mentioned it as a joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, does anyone else have anything to say about Full Moon?
Not much to say on it.
Really horny about the lady trying to kill him, and it's kind of off-putting.
Oh yeah, what's her name? Like Tara, like the actual.
No, Ancient Ben. Okay, Ancient Ben, who is apparently ripped.
Oh, there is something we do need to mention, is that Tara is also a kind of werewolf, but she's an inverse werewolf, a wolf were, because she was a wolf who learned how to become human.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she teaches
never
all
really
the.
Explained how that works.
Yeah.
I'm willing to bet she'll come back.
17 books in. Yeah, no, she's absolutely coming back.
Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. Butcher isn't obviously on the level of Oda in terms of foreshadowing, but he's pretty fucking good at it.
Yeah, so I think
sometimes that's not necessarily a good thing, all things considered. I love these books, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's these.
I do like that the alphas come back a lot. I like the alphas a lot.
Yes, the alphas do become recurring characters, which is great.
Yeah.
They get character development because, as it stands right now, they're basically a bunch of goth kids who are like,
we can turn into wolves.
Yeah.
And like, they're just like they're those teenagers, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, do we have anything else to say about Full Moon? I don't.
No, let's get on to Grave Peril already. I want to talk about Michael.
Grave Peril, which
Michael.
is
Michael is like.
So Grave Peril is basically the first really, really important book. This book sets up the series for...
Also kind of cements my dislike for Susan.
Yes, it does. So, to basically summarize Grave Peril...
Susan does the opposite of what she's told, and...
we will get to that. We can get to that immediately
Susan
after the summary.
Susan fucks around and then she finds out. That's it.
we can get to that once we do the summary. I know we didn't do one for Grave Peril, but that's because none of us really care about Grave Peril. It's really a nothing book.
Full Moon. You keep saying Grave Peril is not Full Moon.
Full Moon. Sorry, Grave Peril is important. So Grave Peril basically.
You care about it so little that you don't even remember its name.
Yeah, basically, something has all the ghosts riled up, and at the same time,
ghosts are in fact a thing.
Yes, but at the same time, Harry is invited to a masquerade ball by the local vampire and brothel owner Bianca.
Yep, and she's kind of like the proxy for the Red Court of Vampires. Oh, we should talk about
there are three different courts of vampire.
To detail until actually no, we meet representatives of 2 out of 3 at least. Does Mavra come in later?
No, three out of three. 3 out of 3. Could we meet all 3 of them this book? Could we meet Thomas as well? Okay, so
No. I was talking about Thomas. I didn't know if Mavra was.
Okay,
Mavra shows up.
So Black Court is basically your typical vampire. You know, can be killed by stakes, killed by sunlight.
What's funny is that this is actually there's a reason for this in universe.
Yeah.
Is that there's a lot of little moments like this in universe, but apparently Bram Stoker's Dracula was written in an attempt. So this is actually a running policy of the White Council.
Yeah, to basically publish books with the weaknesses of their enemy to
make it permeate the public consciousness, so that's kind of always on hand.
So,
they always have the stuff on hand.
And actually, at the point in the series that the Dresden Files takes place chronologically, the Black Court is a dying breed because everybody knows their weaknesses because of Bram Stoker.
Only the strongest Black Court vampires have survived this long.
Which includes Mavra.
And
and Dracula. No, Dracula dies.
Dracula was Dracula's little bitch son.
Yeah.
Dracul is the real... Oh god, Dracul. I still have nightmares
later.
Based on his one... He's appeared once in the series, and that one appearance is...
Yes, it was terrifying. Anyway, we also have the Red Court, which is sort of in between. They are basically...
of the original.
They're Mayan rats.
They're basically these rubbery, fleshy bat creatures who drink blood, and cannot. And they're one of the types that cannot be out in the sun, basically.
They can wear flesh masks, which are basically just a fancy word for people suits, and that's kind of their whole thing, and that's how they get around the sunlight restriction as well.
It's not that they wear people; it's just that they can wear a mask that makes them look like people.
Yeah. We also have something called the Jade Court, but that's more in Asia and hasn't really been covered.
They're done.
But
according to Jim Butcher, they are just Jiangxi. So,
And the final one, of importance in the series is the White Court. They are psychic vampires. They
more like succubus and incubus. Think about that.
Well, no. There's different flavors of White Court. The wraiths feed on lust. The Malvoras feed on fear. Scavuses feed on despair.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, the wraiths are the only ones that are important because they're basically the kings of the White Court, and they're the only ones who really have a decent surviving lineage.
Anyway,
I remember at some point that there was actually something mentioned that the White Court vampires shouldn't be feeding on fear and despair, but the problems that come up later are causing it, causing them to diversify their palate in a way.
It's not really that they shouldn't, but that it has like all forms of the feeding have side effects, but that one specifically has. But lust seems to have the most agreeable side effects, the most like least harmful side effects.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
they just
both to the people and the vampires. Yeah.
Yes, they tend to be able to. So they do have. They are basically the kings of two things: pornography and slavery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which really, I really dislike it when Butcher tries to make any of them besides besides Thomas sympathetic, because I'm just like, dude, they're slavers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like seriously, even if they weren't like murderous or like overly lustful, it's just like they literally keep slaves. That's not cool.
They literally enthrall people and brainwash them to their will.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they pretend it's consensual too.
We can get on. We can get onto that when the rest of the White Court appear, and they do appear in multiple books.
Yeah, as it stands, we see Thomas, who is just so Harry's like.
No, Thomas is basically like I guess like the bastard child. Well, not the bastard child. They're all bastard children, but he's kind of like a bit of an outcast with the White
He's the black
Court.
sheep. He's the only son.
Black sheep. That's the right word. Yeah,
he's the only. He's the only living son of the White King.
Yeah.
Mostly because he's apparently just an idiot who's
idiot playboy. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so getting back onto the plot of the book, the local vampire is Bianca. The local vampire is Bianca, who is a member of the Red Court. She invites Harry with the express purpose of tricking him into starting a war, which he does.
But here's the caveat.
She also gives him a +1, and guess who he takes? Michael.
Also starring in this book is Michael, the Fist of God. Genuinely, he is called that.
Chad, the ultimate Chad.
Basically, he wields one of 3 swords of the cross, which is one of 3 swords which has a nail from Christ's crucifixion nailed into the hilt.
Yeah, and they are really awesome swords.
They are called in order Amoracius,
Amaracius,
Esperacius, and
Fidelicius.
Yeah. And
Michael wields Amaracius, which is also known as Excalibur.
That does come up later on.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, it's not really a spoiler.
I do have one vote to pick here.
Yeah?
Huh.
What?
So, like, it's kind of awkward, but, they're like, oh yeah, only someone with the... This is not really important, this is just kind of supplementary material. They're like, only, someone with the blood of,
blood of a king, yeah.
The blood of kings. Yeah, that's a whole subplot that they're talking about.
Yeah, except, if you do the math, like, there was one of the math channels on YouTube.
Oh yeah, like pretty much.
Literally everyone. That is basically literally everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone has some royal blood. Even if you go by direct descendants only.
Yeah.
Basically, you can make an argument that literally everyone on the planet is a direct descendant of a king at some point. So it's kind of like that becomes a lot less important when you think about it for even a second.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that is something we should mention in this book. God is most definitely real, and he definitely
he's also like heavily implied to be like the single most like
the God, yes, the God, capital G, yeah.
There are other like deities, but it's heavily implied that capital G Abrahamic God is very much the most powerful entity in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Creator,
so much so that he just does not get involved most of the time. And when he does, it's very indirectly.
But if he ever gets involved directly, then there are times when they are allowed to get involved directly, and that has
most of their involvement comes via the Knights of the Cross, who are basically told where they are needed to go.
Not even told most of the time.
Feeling, and then that really.
Well, it's more like it's almost like God creates coincidences for them to show up at the right place at the right time. That's how it's described in the book, at least.
Yeah. They do sometimes have just feelings because there needs to be an initial inciting action.
I remember at one point in the series, I'm not gonna give any details here, but there's a point where like there's some shit that's about to go down at the beginning of a book, and then Harry asks someone like, "Hey, is this one Knight of the Cross does he happen to be in town?" He's like, "Oh yeah, he showed up yesterday," and then he's like, "Oh fuck, it's about to go down."
Yeah.
So like it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, it's kind of a whole thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will get to that later. Yeah, the important part of this book is that Harry starts a war between the White Council of Wizards and the Red Court.
Okay, so we should go into some context about why he starts this war.
Yes, let's get on to Susan. So Susan is Harry's girlfriend at this point. She has been since, I believe, in Full Moon.
The only time he's getting consistently laid in the entire series, too.
She hears there is a party going down at Bianca's mansion. Harry is invited and suspects it has something to do with the supernatural community. Harry tells her not to get involved because the Red Court, hey, are very dangerous, and a lot of the people they invite are incredibly dangerous. For example, she invites a literal dragon, Ferrovax.
I love it.
Yeah, Ferrovax.
Who literally fucking crushes Dresden under his just spiritual presence.
Yeah. Pretty much.
By existing, he kind of just
makes
Dresden.
I should preface that part by saying that like Dresden has a very poor habit of mouthing off to.
Oh no, Dresden is a snarky son of a bitch, and he doesn't know when to turn it off.
Yeah,
and that's what gets Ferrovax to have to flex on him. Ferrovax had to flex on him to put him in his place. That's basically what happened.
At one point, he snarks to a couple of beings that he really shouldn't have done, to which he gets a very gimlet eye from the person accompanying him and just went, "What? They would have felt left out if I didn't?" And it's just like, oh god, Harry, no. They could literally skin you alive.
He did.
Harry is one of the prime examples of a trope I like to call "I'm a smartass. I can't help it."
Yeah.
Yeah, and at some point in the series, they do just kind of like, all right, that's just how you are. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah, even the deities are like, okay, you refuse to die most of the time, and like we don't have the energy to deal with you, so just do whatever. Don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
so to give an example of Dresden's sense of humor, to the masquerade ball, he came dressed as not just a vampire, a cheesy vampire.
Oh yes, very much. What was that one? What was the one with? I think was it Dustin Hoffman in that one?
I don't know.
I don't remember.
Is the classic meme vampire movie?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Kiss of the Empire with Nicolas Cage?
No. There's another one.
Ah.
Well, basically, the long and the short of it is
wears a ridiculous tux with a fucking black cape on, and he has the fake pointy teeth in, and like the blood painted on the corner of his mouth.
Oh,
like
and he's got his he's got pale makeup on as well.
The whole 9 yards.
Oh, to give an example of Dresden being an idiot when it comes to women needing help, he gets a client called Lydia, who he has no proof isn't trying to trick him, and decides to give her his anti-ghost protection bracelet.
Yep.
Which went really well.
Yeah.
I forget whatever happened with that girl. Like, she just kind of ups and disappears after a while, doesn't she?
Yeah. I think she just sort of goes... I don't remember what happens to her, actually.
She's just not important at any point in the future.
Yeah. Anyway, so Susan hears about this, despite Dresden warning her explicitly, do not come to this, it is incredibly dangerous. She forges, or she copies Dresden's invitation and comes along anyway. Which results in her, because she's not been officially invited, she has no guest rights, which is a very important thing in the supernatural community, which allows Bianca to take her hostage, which provokes Dresden into starting said war.
Not just take her hostage, but like torture her for a bit, which honestly, I like Susan, she seems to get less sympathetic with every appearance she has, to the point that I think Dresden is probably the only one who is sad about what happened at the end of Changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think everyone else was just like, yeah, you really just kind of deserved this.
Yeah.
I will also say that at some point Harry also gets captured and tortured.
Yeah,
and maybe
but
stuff happens.
The only reason he wasn't killed
on the details.
Yeah, the only reason that he wasn't killed when he got taken captive was because he had poison in his skin that was poison in his veins that was making the vampires sick when they tried to feed on him, and he was dying.
Prepared for, by
yeah.
the way, and a good precaution to have when vampires are involved is make it impossible for them to feed on you.
Yes, but it is very much implied that they do the R word as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We don't get details, but the implication is very much there that Harry was sexually assaulted.
It's
really. I must have completely. I was fairly young when I read these two, so I must have completely.
Again, it's never outright stated, but Harry has nightmares about it for years and years to come, and he's always seems explicitly traumatized by it.
Yeah, he gets tortured a lot in this series, and it's never really traumatized him like that. So that makes sense.
The implication is extremely heavy and very much there.
All he ever really says is they did things, which again, it just by implication.
You think if it was just gonna be like, oh, they ate, like they drank a lot of his blood, he would have just said it. But the fact that he said they did things means that there's more.
He's not shy. He is not shy to describe the gory details.
Yeah.
So the fact that he didn't in that case, especially since he's kind of old and he's a bit of a boomer in his mindset. So the fact that he's male and it's the whole.
To be fair, he was raised by Justin Dumont, who was at least a century old, and Ebenezer, who is even older.
3 or 4 centuries old, I think.
Yeah.
They said. Easier. Yeah. Also, Wizards a long time.
Here's the thing about Wizards. Wizards, strangely enough, this is kind of ironic. They basically have a watered-down version of the Captain America Super Soldier Serum in their veins.
Yeah, they're basically they heal faster. They largely don't get keep scars, and they
don't
heal
really get
better
sick,
and they live longer.
With anything. They don't really get sick with any.
Basically, how it's described later in the book is so everyone sells.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
Okay, wait.
Let's not talk about
that's later on. We don't need to talk about that because then we need to mention.
Oh no, it's absolutely BS, but it's fucking magic.
No, but this is one of my biggest like little pet peeves is that if you're gonna be like you're gonna have some sort of scientific explanation, like basically my thing is either make it entirely magical or just don't have a BS scientific explanation, right? Like
you could have a scientific explanation if the magic is grounded in science in some way.
Which
ironically
enough, kind of is.
It's actually the other way around. It's actually the other way around. It's more like science is based in magic in a sense, where that I mean I don't want to go too far into it because then I'd have to talk about Butters, but yeah, it's kind of like because that magic is present, it kind of it's basically like vitality. Magic is kind of like vitality, life force in a way, and wizards, because they're able to harness it and use it, they have just more of it ready to them, and therefore the aging process slows down, the healing process speeds up, etc.
Also, they tend to be able to their physical caps are a bit higher.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right? Like
they're not quite like Captain America levels, but they are.
No, but like Captain America Light that's why I said that, because like they tend to be able to. Like they still need to do the physical training. Like it's not like they automatically are just ripped from birth, but they can. Their cap is higher than, let's say,
than your average bear.
Yeah, especially if they use like any sort of supplements.
Yeah.
What? Okay, here's a question. Why doesn't Harry just do a bunch of roids? Because I'm pretty sure being a wizard would nullify the side effects, but also like give him some pretty.
But
decent
doesn't
benefit.
he do roids at one point?
No.
Well, magical roids.
Yeah, but that's a major spoiler.
That's a major spoiler.
No, that was last book. That was the. Oh yeah,
No,
yeah,
no.
but he does do that. Yeah, I remember what you're talking about. It's during a car scene.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's basically magical speed in full moon, like where
there we go.
or magical adrenaline.
Yes, it's magical adrenaline because he gets the high and then he gets the low afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, another character that is introduced into this book, or in this book, that goes on to become very important. Harry's godmother, the Leonshi.
Ah, yes, Leah. She's great.
Who
She's
will now be called Leia because I can't be arsed saying Leonshi every time.
She's his fairy godmother, and we learn that that's not a good thing in this world. The fairies are very much. They are the tradition. They're not the Disneyfied fairies.
No.
Oh, and this is traditional Celtic fairies.
Yeah. This is where I can actually talk about the story behind what the Leonshi is.
Mm.
And it's basically like the idea is that I'll use like kind of an example. Think about an artist like Leonardo da Vinci, brilliant artist, highly inspired, lived a very short life, and it's kind of like it's a play off of that, like the very gifted artist that burns brightly but not for very long. And the idea of the Leonshi is that she is the fairy that basically chooses these artists, these these people that have this inspiration, and she gives them more inspiration. And like that's the idea behind the Leonshi. So like
sometimes she also feeds on them, which is an awkward part of it. Is like half of it is yes, if they make deals with mortals, they very much deal with. Really, here deals with the devil are not really a thing. Well, they're kind of a thing, but not really in the way that you'd think. It deals with the Fae. Oh, good lord, there's a lot of those.
They're basically supernatural lawyers. They cannot tell a lie, but you'd be hard pressed to get them to tell the truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can't tell a direct lie, but also, interestingly enough, it's kind of not their fault in a way. It's very much their nature to the point that they literally, it makes them physically uncomfortable to
give direct answers.
Yeah.
Give direct answers, and some of the weaker ones just are physically incapable of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're physically incapable of lying and telling the truth, but it's mostly because that's just... Oh, and we're getting into one of the big parts that's kind of interesting in this series, is that free will. It exists, yes, but only for humans.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, every creature in this universe has a script that they are 100% forced to follow, right? Their nature is... Like, honestly, they're closer to AI to some of the most powerful beings in this series are closer to an artificial intelligence than an actual human being, in that
they're kind of hardwired to do specific things.
They're hard-coded, right? Like, they have a code, like, not in some sort of moral sense, in a literal sense, they have code that they physically cannot...
Yeah.
In some cases, they're basically animals bound by their instincts.
Yes. So basically, it's kind of not their... For a lot of them, it's kind of not their fault. Now, this is not the case for those who were once human, because they either have fragments of free will or complete free will, and so when they're dicks, they're just dicks. Also, it's kind of the explanation for why some races are always chaotic evil.
Yeah. And
like, I mean... like, I'm not really a fan of that trope, but like, I guess. Like, for example,
it's one of the only two ways that you could really justify it. The other being like the society that they were raised in kind of just has the standards.
Anyway, so the role that Leonshi plays in this book is basically Harry made a deal with her for power back when he killed Dumorn. Harry reneged on that deal because, of course,
he was a literal child at the time. Like, he was a minor who didn't know any better, so it's kind of like... That's it should tell you.
Contracts signed by minors are non-binding.
Not to the fairies, it's not.
Fairies don't care.
The Fae absolutely have no sense of morals or like really. They have ethics, which is the odd thing.
Yeah.
They don't have any sense of morality, but they have a very strict code of ethics.
Yeah.
Because again, that's kind of they're hardwired for it.
Anyway, so Leah is trying to hunt Dresden down to turn him into a hound.
Yeah, one of her hounds.
Yes, which results in a quite funny line. Harry hears these hounds coming and goes, "Holy shit, hellhounds!" Michael responds, "Harry, you know I don't like it when you swear." To which Harry says, "Oh, sorry, holy shit, heckhounds."
Yeah.
Which, to
and
be
then
fair,
there's that little bit where like kind of the part of the reason that Harry's forced to go to the masquerade ball is because Leah takes Michael's sword.
Yes, because Leah tries to claim her due. Harry uses Michael's sword to ward her off, which doesn't work because it's the sword of love and not the sort of, reneging on deals. And so it just becomes a normal sword. Leia steals it and, walks away. Gives it to Bianca.
Swords are basically just like decently maintained pieces of metal in the hands of anyone, but those who are worthy to wield them.
Not even that. It's anyone who's using them for not their purpose, basically. Not to protect.
The swords were forged for a particular purpose.
If you're like even if you're like they will burn you if you're unholy, but you're using them for the right reasons, right?
Yes.
Only real exception to that are the half-born, of which Thomas is an example, but we'll get to that later. But the thing about the swords is that when you're Harry Dresden, they don't really work for you, because Harry Dresden is many things, but like...
Well, Harry explicitly says he wouldn't respect any religion that took him in.
Yeah, so, like, that kind of works against him.
The swords kind of require some degree of faith in them.
Oh, no. He does have faith. He has faith in magic, which explicitly allows him to ward off vampires.
He has faith in magic, and he does have faith in good things to happen to good people. It's just that he doesn't consider himself a good person.
Yeah. Which, another one of his character flaws is for self-esteem.
And also one of those belief makes it real sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not
and like that's the only reason that he can't really wield the swords, because like I honestly think that if he could get over that hurdle, he could definitely wield one of the swords, no problem. But it really is because he doesn't believe he's worthy to wield them deep down.
Yeah. I like let's be real. Sonya's probably not long for this world.
We will discuss that in the very far future.
Let's be real.
We will discuss that in the very far future.
No. Okay, but fair enough.
I love Sonya. Don't talk bad about Sonya around me.
We will discuss that in the future.
I love him. Okay, but anyway, so what were we on before that? Oh yeah.
Lianchi.
So here's the thing. The thing about that is that, funnily enough, it does in fact come back to bite her actually. Right? I am convinced because she gets a certain dagger.
We will discuss that when it comes up.
No. But like, I'm just gonna say, we're at the party.
Yeah. Well,
she gets the dagger at the party.
She does get the dagger, but we will discuss the implications of the dagger later on. There are definite implications to the dagger, but in return for giving Bianca the sword, she receives not specifically a theme. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Whatever.
I believe there's an accent. Yes.
Also, other people get some gifts. Harry's gift is a tombstone and a plot in Gracefield. Is it Gracefield?
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was if I still had Promised Neverland on the mind. In Gracefield, with the inscription on the tombstone, Harry Dresden, he died doing the right thing.
And that was a gift from Bianca.
That is a gift from Bianca, which, pretty much calculated, it's pretty much a veiled threat at that point.
Yeah.
Because she expected him to die at that party.
It's really not that veiled. Subtlety is not really their thing.
No.
Yeah.
Another character I want to mention who is fairly important later on, Father Forthill.
Oh yes.
Oh, he's great.
True man of God, right there.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of things wrong with organized religion. Father Forthill and Michael are basically, well, Father Forthill more specifically is an example of the things that are basically he's the quintessence of all that is good about.
Michael is the ideal of a Christian. He is what a Christian should be.
He is the he even slays a motherfucking dragon to claim his wife.
He does slay a dragon.
He is
to save his future wife. Yeah.
Yes.
He is a Chad. He is a mega Chad.
He and his wife also mate like bunnies.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
They're like what, 7
They're a
kids
Catholic family. They're a Catholic family. What do you
7 or 8 kids, I think. Yeah. Which actually plays into a plot point in the book. Michael's wife
Later
Charity
on.
is pregnant. Michael and Harriet arrive back at Michael's house, find that she's missing, want to go after her.
Oh yeah, that's how Leah gets the sword. Actually, is because she takes Charity captive.
Yeah. But like Michael is like, come on, Harry, let's go find her. And Harry's like, but what about your kids? Michael rolls his eyes, opens the front door to find Father Forthill about to knock on the door, who goes, oh, Michael, I didn't mean to stop by so late. My car stalled only a block from here on the way back from taking Mrs. Hamish home, and I thought I might borrow... Yes. You need a babysitter again, don't you? And that's the kind of coincidences that happen around Michael.
It's amazing. I love it.
Basically, there's a lot of dangers with the job, but the perks of the job are basically the universe goes out of its way to
take care of you.
Take care of him. Yes.
That's the closest I think to how the big G God can be described as he is the universe. That's I guess the way.
If big G gods decide something is gonna happen, it's
gonna fucking happen. Yeah.
I also just going back to Michael, I just love the slight sense of humor he has about his religion. Like, he knows exactly that it's entirely true and right, and yet he's just got, like, for example, later in a book, again, this isn't a big spoiler, he comes across somebody who's praying while he's in his full knight regalia, and he just looks at him and is like, oh my God, God answered my prayer, and he's just like, of course God is listening, of course he's there. Admittedly, he doesn't usually answer quite this quickly. It's just...
Or this literally.
It's just...
it's not really... It's not every day that she sends, one of the 3...
Knights of the Cross,
They're paladins.
They are paladins, yes.
They are. Not only are they paladins, they could probably hand any 20th level D&D paladin their ass.
Oh, yeah.
Just by virtue of existing.
Yeah.
Especially, can we just mention him? We're not going to talk much about him, but Shiro. The way he's described when he fights, Shiro, yeah. The way he's described when he fights, holy fuck, he's basically just
He's Zatoichi. He's Zatoichi.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
the Knights of the Knights of the Cross, when they are on mission, are all but unstoppable.
Yeah.
With a few very important exceptions that come up later.
Which we will discuss next stream.
Yeah.
Yes. But
I can't wait to talk about...
There's another thing we should mention about Michael.
Yeah?
There's another we're not going to talk about Little Nicky yet. And yes, that is what we're calling him. We're not
we have to.
No, we're not giving him any sort of dignity. Yeah, that's fair.
Yes, his name is Little Nicky. So the thing about that is that a thing about Michael. Apparently, we learned it's not very important, but it's a fun little statistic. The average career of a Knight of the Cross
is
about 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days.
3 days, like one solid battle or a few battles over a few important battles. Michael has been doing this for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's been doing this for
him and Shiro.
He's been doing this for decades because that's the thing.
Yeah.
He as I said, he he was a Knight of the Cross when he saved his wife, and she wasn't his wife yet. So they had to date, and they had to get married, and then they had kids. And I believe the oldest, Molly, is what, 10 when she's first introduced. No, Molly is the oldest. Molly is the oldest.
No, they have a girl. They have a girl who's older than Molly.
No, they don't. Molly is the oldest.
Isn't there a girl who is like married at the time?
No. No, Molly is the oldest. Trust me on this.
Daniel was older than her, but I might be wrong.
Fine.
At one point on a quiz, app, I was #1 in the world for Dresden Files knowledge. Please trust me on this. It was a very short period, but I was #1.
On the subject of Susan-like characters, we're going to talk about. I've got some words about Molly.
We will get to Molly
later.
We will get to Molly.
Molly's not relevant. I think you meet her in the third book, but she's still like a kid.
Yeah, she's very much.
Molly is the firstborn child.
Yes. Yeah. Another line that I quite like when Harry realizes what the vampire's trap is. He says, "Oh Jesus, son of a bitch!" Michael goes, "He didn't mean it, Lord."
Yeah. Which, again, very much in a world where absolutely God exists and is listening. Like, this is one of those worlds where we meet atheists and who are aware of the masquerade, and I'm just like, it's the flat Earth atheist situation, right? Because it's just like very like it's kind of just not a good take to be an atheist, or at least the sort of atheist that doesn't believe in deities, right? Like you can, or that doesn't believe deities exist. Sorry. You can not believe in them, like not worship them. That kind of atheist makes perfect sense in a universe like this, quite frankly, when most of the deities are dicks. But like, yeah, I forget who exactly, but we do meet like the skeptics and atheists in this world are just. Oh, don't even get me started. We've met Rudy already, haven't we?
Yes, we have. He came in, but it came in Full Moon.
Yeah, Full Moon. Oh, we didn't talk about Rudy. Okay,
we shouldn't. We can't.
He's a very minor character, but he's a total bitch. He's a total bitch.
He's not going to be minor for long.
We will get to Rudolph later on.
We're not going to get to Rudolph for until the end of the series, basically, as it stands. But like when we do, oh God, oh Lord.
We will have words about Rudolph later.
I'm going to say this: if Rudolph gets a redemption arc, I am dropping the series.
I don't blame you. I don't think he will, though. Given how,
There are times in the series where, like, literally, the supernatural is put right up in Rudy's face, and then he still turns around and says that shit's not real.
As I said, there are some people who accept what they see. The vast majority of them try and explain it away as much as possible.
He is the quintessential character that represents that, for the most part. In the bad way. In the bad way.
No, he's a flat earther. That's literally what he is Rudolph is a flat earther.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It's the closest you can get to a flat earther in the Dresden Files, other than, actual flat earthers, which I presume exist and are probably some sort of nefarious scheme by Fae.
Probably.
I don't know.
Maybe the Fae gets stronger when the Earth is flat, and maybe if enough people believe that the Earth is flat, the Earth becomes flat. Who knows?
Yeah.
I
wouldn't put it by it.
Tulpas exist in this world, right? I'm pretty sure Tulpas are mentioned. Tulpas.
Oh, Tulpas. Those things.
For those of you who are unaware, a tulpa is basically something that comes into existence because so many people believe in it.
It was in Supernatural, Dylan.
Yeah, I know.
Also, kind of it's a very contentious part of the DID community, but let's not talk about that. This is not the right time or place for that. I'll tell you about it later. Remember that time I almost started a cult?
Yes.
No.
Wait, no. The time I accidentally started a cult. Sorry. Yeah, it's related to that.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh right. Hasn't heard this story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have not. Anyway, is there anything else we need to talk about Grave Peril wise? Because
I mean, we haven't talked about the Nightmare, aka Leonid Kravos.
Yeah, I was gonna say that dude's a piece of shit. Oh yeah, this is the one with SplatterCon, isn't it?
No, that's way later on. So basically, Leonid Kravos is a is a shitty sorcerer who gets arrested by the Chicago PD with Harry's help. He then commits suicide in prison and uses his ghost to torment
bad things.
To torment every member of the team that took him down, including.
Also, like,
he also mind raped Murphy.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. While he was disguised as Harry because he had eaten some of Harry's magic.
Yes.
Which is a weird plot point in and of itself, but like he attacks Harry in a dream.
Also doesn't really come up anytime in the future. Another bit of early weirdness.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that in this series.
Well, I mean, I think they glance over it in the sense that they say like they've put up mental defenses against that or something like that later on, but I don't know. Because I remember he gives Murphy something that defends her.
Okay, so I'm gonna be like full disclosure here. Harry is kind of bad at magic.
Yeah, no, he is. He gets better as he goes on, but yeah, no, he's actually.
In the latest book in the series, he's still nowhere near as good at magic as even like people much younger than him.
Well, no, he is a no. Here's the thing. He states multiple times he is a thug. He is nothing but a thug with a bunch of power that he just chucks around. There are people that are more precise than him but have far less power than him.
The thing is, when it comes to wizard, precision is just so much more important.
Yes, but you also do need still a measure of power. You like.
Okay, random question. And this is a character that doesn't pop up till later. Who do you think would win in an all-out magical brawl, Harry or Ramirez?
Harry.
Depends on the gear in question, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I think if Ramirez has his sword, Harry's kind of bone.
Oh yeah.
Ramirez is better defensive magic, and can like get in close. And like if Harry has all his entire kit, it's much more even, especially because he can work around the sword because he can just do his ice chucking trick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I can't wait till we get to Ramirez.
I know.
He's my favorite warden. He's my favorite warden. He's better than Lucio. Come on now.
We will get to these characters later. We will get to these characters later.
I don't like where Butcher took his character.
We will get to that. We will get to that later. Another thing I want to mention in terms of Michael, he comes dressed as you know, the Knight of the Cross to the masquerade. One of the vampires thinks it is just a costume, places a hand on his shoulder. It bursts into white hot flame, and Michael just goes, "Sorry, that happens sometimes."
Michael is such a fantastic character. It's a shame he wasn't introduced earlier.
Michael is a massive troll.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Like people,
my favorite character.
Focus on it a lot, but Michael is kind of a massive troll because he like very much. People think like anyone who says he's just too vanilla or straight-laced or goody two-shoes just doesn't know how to read between the lines because he is just one of the. Honestly, pound for pound, he rivals Harry in the snark department.
He does have a lot of snark to him.
Like, good lord, you know, just don't say that in front of him, or in that universe in general. But the sheer amount of snark he has, especially when it comes to anything involving his job as a Knight of the Cross, is just like.
As I said, he has a sense of humor about his fucking religion, despite knowing that it is entirely true.
I think that's why he has a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
Just when you've met a literal archangel and they're kind of chill about the whole thing. It's very much less Old Testament, more, you know, the ideal chill
more
God.
New Testament. It's more New Testament God, for sure.
God, and it's very much God and his archangels and the heavenly host are basically like chill and live and let live about the whole thing. It's a lot easier to make jokes about your religion when you know you're not going to literally go to hell for it, which, again, hell, something that explicitly exists in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know why people do bad things in this universe, because, especially the magical ones, right?
Yeah, if you're aware of the Knights of the Cross, you should not be a religious. Or, like,
in fairness, like the ones who do actually like know it exists, they don't think they're gonna die.
Yeah, that's true. A lot of the people that talk shit about the religion are immortal.
Proven wrong multiple times throughout history, not just like in the book, but in history.
Yeah, but they always everyone thinks that they're the exception that proves the rule when they are not.
Wizards, right? Like I don't understand how brainwashed evil wizards exist. That at least the ones that know hell is explicitly a thing.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not sure how many wizards, including on the White Council, are actually sort of privy to the knowledge that, you know, God is real and has fucking knights on Earth.
No, they know of the Knights of the Cross. It's like a plot point later on.
Yeah, the Knights of the Cross are like renowned throughout the whole world. Like everybody knows about them.
What's his face? Ernest Armand Tinwhistle. I know his real name, but I don't remember the name everyone calls him. Binder.
Binder.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Binder. I can't wait to get to Binder either.
He's actually, like, I honestly, at first I kind of hated him, but it was just the context. But, like, later on, I actually have a lot of respect for that character.
No, Binder is very much, there's a few in this series. He's a consummate professional mercenary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, nothing is personal for him.
Yes. Everything...
Him and Kincaid.
Kincaid, there's some things are personal for Kincaid.
Oh, yeah. Very
personal for Kincaid. But everything else is kind of just like, is kind of just like, well, I guess I got paid to do this, so if we're on opposite sides, screw me, I guess. Like, he actively does not like it when he gets involved with a job and certain other people are...
Take it personally,
like
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, he's just like... Ooh.
Look, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. And literally, imagine it in my accent as well, because he is British.
Yeah, but he's Cockney.
He's Cockney, and I can't do Cockney.
But another character a lot like that would be Grey Goodman. Grey Goodman's a lot like that too.
We're talking about a bunch of characters who are way further into this.
Yeah, we've sort of...
We don't need to discuss these characters. Should we move on to Summer Night?
No, I wouldn't say we have enough time.
Goodman Gray is kind of a subversion of that, actually, because like he pretends to be, but like
we are once again talking about characters who are way further in.
Okay. Yes. Sorry. What is
well, we haven't really talked much about Thomas, really, have we? Obviously.
Oh yeah, Thomas. His introduction in this book is really fun.
Thomas and Justine are... Oh god,
icky.
I almost don't want to talk about them.
I'm not going to talk about Justine. I just want to mention the fact that, like...
Very pretty and very fabulous, and he comes dressed with, like, glitter and fairy wings, and it's great, and I love it.
Yeah, but he...
Thomas is so fucking extra.
To explain, to get to Bianca's mansion, Harry takes Michael and Thomas, who allied with them, through the Never Never. Harry goes on through to Bianca's mansion. Suddenly, Michael and Thomas are in the Never Never, which is, you know, fairy realm, as well as a bunch of other things.
It's the term for the fairy is just the closest to the surface, and this is actually not always the case. Apparently, whether or not something it's kind of cyclical, but it's less like the cycle of the seasons and more like the cycle of the ice ages, right?
Yeah.
Where every few years, what is closest? For example, demons. There's actually two classifications of demons. There's the Fey demons, right?
That come from the Never Never.
From fairy. And then there's the fallen angels and like the more Judeo-Christian demons, which also
we'll talk about those more in the next Dresden Files video because they do pop up in book 5.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically, demons also come from the Never Never. The Fae are currently the closest to the Never Never, which is why they have so much power in the modern world. and other places are kind of less related. And it's implied that that's kind of why there's a lot of like deities and stuff that are dormant, right?
Yeah.
Like there's like the Hindu pantheon is apparently dormant, and it's implied that it's because they're not really close to the Never Never at this, or they're not close to the physical world at this point, right?
Yeah,
like
I would say so.
Aren't really that close.
Yeah, they do.
Yes.
They do mention that there are like, I won't name the deities by name, but there are certain Greek, Roman, and Norse gods that are active during it, and I think that that's like they're on the tail end of being close to the real world, I guess.
That's also again one of those things that tie the magical world back into the real world. It's implied that that's kind of the reason it's so involved in the public consciousness.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of the things about the like public consciousness as far as like media is concerned are in fact directly tied into sort of real into the sort of magical ecosystem, and that's one of them is that because the Greco-Roman and Norse pantheon seem to be the most active at this point in time, that's also the ones that are most active in fiction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, so yes, they're in the Never Never. Thomas and Michael, trapped there. Though Thomas can open gates back into the real world at places close to his heart. Being a wraith and a white coat vampire, he opens one up onto a what?
He's an incubus. Let's just call him what they are.
He is an incubus. So he opens one up into what he calls a gentleman's club, which obviously Michael, being devout Christian,
was not the biggest fan.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Like, I'm actually curious about something. Why does a white coat vampire need a strip club? Can't they just like go into a mall and make people just start stripping? Like, they don't really need a strip club.
Well, they do it so that they don't like draw attention to themselves.
No, but like even like in a more private setting, they don't really need to pay for any of that stuff. They can just kind of do it.
Yeah.
Well, my guess would be the more well, it's the reason why they have the porn industry. The more sexualized the world is, then the more influence they are gonna have.
It's not so much that I get that, but like, why do they need to go to a strip club?
To make appearances.
So that they're not as conspicuous.
Yeah.
Like if they had people throwing themselves at them in public and stripping down at like a mall or a movie theater or a business place, that would draw a lot of attention. Whereas if it's a strip club, it's like it's natural for people to strip and be lustful in that area.
A lot of the theories around like why the supernatural doesn't want to get noticed by the mortal is because like they're afraid of the torches and pitchforks, the human mob, like that. It's an actual
AKA nukes.
Yeah, basically.
So yeah, here's the thing: while you can't kill a god with a nuke, it's heavily implied that if you throw enough nukes at a god, they're not going to die, but they're going to be so damaged that it's going to take millennia for them to recover, by which point it's entirely possible that humans will have like some sort of
god-killing weapon, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, basically.
And yeah, humans have strength of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Most supernatural creatures just don't breed very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for example, the Wraiths are a good example of this. They're banging all the time, and it's like basically entirely unprotected.
Yeah.
They have,
and I believe Thomas Thomas is only the second youngest of his siblings, to our knowledge, and he only has one younger sibling that we know of.
Which means that that Lord Wraith has had something like 20-ish years of unprotected banging with like a truly heinous number of women. I say heinous because it's never consensual with him.
There is a possible reason why he may not have actually been doing any banging, which we will get to next podcast.
Well, no, there is also the factor of most basically all of his male children except for Thomas are dead.
Yeah.
So that
he
might
killed them all.
all of that.
Kills them
Yeah.
explicitly.
Yes, but as I said, we will get to that next stream or next Dresden stream. Otherwise, is there anything else we want to say about Grave Peril?
We neglected to mention a very, very important character in the series. I forget if he appears in Grave Peril, but he's at least in like the first and second books. Toot Toot.
Yep, Toot Toot.
Oh my god, the Major General.
Major General Toot Toot.
So Toot Toot is this little dewdrop fairy that Dresden slightly tricks into helping him.
No, he does pay him.
He pays him in pizza.
He eventually starts paying him in pizza. Yes.
Let me just do the spiel on them. Toot Toot is a member of what is broadly classified as the Little Folk.
Mm.
They are closer to the Disney fairies, right? They're basically
like Tinkerbell.
They're Tinkerbell if Tinkerbell was a bit more of a mischievous trickster. Though, as we learn later on from a certain character, they are hot. It's just very awkward because they're very small.
Yeah.
They apparently grow, right? They grow based on certain factors, which we'll get into more detail later. And they have one thing that is almost universal to the Little Folk, is they really like human foods, and the ones in Chicago just are addicted to pizza. Like, to the point that it's like a drug for them.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Harry literally pays them.
And Harry is their drug dealer.
He's not just their drug dealer, he's basically their pimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's their supplier.
Their god.
He's their god.
Which creates a very funny scene later on when another character spots this, Sanya the Russian, and goes, "You are drug dealer to tiny fairies. For shame."
You are drug dealer for tiny fairies.
Yes, Sanya is Russian and has a very strong Russian accent, and I love him.
He's
so
awesome.
much.
Oh, I also want to bring up another bit that we forgot to mention, which was Harry's way of declaring war is to basically nuke Bianca's mansion with a fire spell, and he does so by yelling, "Fuego! Pyro Fuego! Burn, you fuckers! Burn!"
Yeah, very dramatic.
I thought that was when he did with the bug lady, but never mind then.
No. He does that. He does that in the mansion.
No.
No, his exact words are "Burn, you greasy-faced bastards, burn."
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, he unleashes basically what his most powerful spell.
I mean, nearly.
It's not his
Most
his
destructive
signature
spell.
He's just very he just puts all of his strength into it.
Yeah, it nearly kills him. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he just
he does
nukes
have
the
an
fucking mansion.
Also, we
did forget to mention that on top of Susan being kidnapped and held hostage by the vampires, they also turn her into a vampire.
Yes.
No, they begin
half turn. Yeah.
They half turn her.
Vampires work a bit differently from traditional vampires in that. Okay, so we should actually, since we've talked about the three courts, we should talk about how they happen.
Yeah.
So, White Court vampires are exclusively born, right?
White Court.
Yeah. White Court's born.
However, it was not always the case. We actually don't know the origin of them, but it is heavily implied that there was some sort of deal with the devil that goes on, because what happens to White Court vampires is actually that they're in a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's a case of very much a case of parasitism. Kind of. I mean, you could argue that it's a form of mutualism, but because they do get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
But it's a semantic discussion at that point. But basically, they have something inside them called a hunger demon, and it's implied that this is one of the Fey demons, not one of the one of the fire and brimstone demons. They've got a hunger demon in them, and a new one is born with every new White Court vampire, so it's passed on genetically. But they are like that implies that there was initially a dude or a lady who made a deal with a hunger demon to create this chain.
Yeah.
Is explicitly not Lord Wraith.
Mm.
That's something very interesting to me because I'm actually curious about is whether or not that entity is still alive or if the first hunger demon is still alive, because that could be very interesting in the future.
Mm.
Yeah. Also, the hunger demon doesn't necessarily actually, no, this is a plot point for Blood Rage, so we'll talk about that when we get to that.
Yeah. But yeah, so Black Court vampires, just traditional. You drink their blood, they drink yours, and boom, they're a vampire.
With the Red Court, however...
Well, no, Black Court are actually physically dead, and they start decaying.
Yeah.
Oh,
they're
yes,
like walking,
there's also that.
Like walking corpses, basically. Zombies, more or less.
Yeah, Red Court vampires, basically, a vampire bites a human and starts the turning process, but a person doesn't fully turn into a vampire until they have taken the lifeblood of another.
I feel like there's more to it than just getting bit, because, like, Carrie got bit by a bunch.
Yeah, no, you specifically have to, it has to be transmitted, like, with intent, right? There's, like, they have two different kinds of saliva. One of their saliva is, one kind is an anticoagulatory agent, and the other is, what's it called?
Well, the,
Viral.
Yes. It's basically described as a virus.
Yeah.
It's like, it's almost kind of, like, what's it called? It's an STD, almost.
Yeah, in a way,
Kinda.
I guess. Yeah. And, basically what happens is when you get turned, you get half turned, so you're still half human, but you have, like, kind of something similar to the hunger demon.
Yeah, so you have some vampire powers, but you also have the thirst, and if you ever give in to the thirst, you turn fully.
Yeah, and it's like if you drink the lifeblood, so if you kill someone while feeding on them, then you fully turn.
So you theoretically can, like, sip.
Yeah.
Which is also a plot point that we get into later on with a different character, but this is very much a slow burn sort of series.
Yeah, a lot of stuff doesn't come into play until later.
Yeah,
a lot of really good foreshadowing and references.
Have anything else really to get into?
I don't think so.
I feel like we're missing something. I feel like I've got it on the tip of my tongue, but I feel like we're missing something kind of important.
Well, Harry does try and propose to Susan after she's been half turned, but Susan leaves.
It was part of Leah's deal with Susan is she took Susan's memories of Harry.
Not forever.
1 year. Right. 1 year.
Really, the fact that she lost her memories for a year, I don't blame her for that. It's everything that happened after that 1 year that I really kind of blame her for. Yeah. And of course, really, she is like she acts like a child in this one.
She does.
Right?
Yeah, a little bit.
No, she's entirely in the wrong in this one.
Yeah, she's like, he explicitly tells her, he doesn't even try to hide it, too. And what pisses me off the most is that Harry greatly blames himself for it later on, and Butcher seems to agree with him. Right? Like, Butcher, multiple times in the series, implies that it's basically entirely Harry's fault.
No.
It's not entirely Harry's fault, but it is partially Harry's fault for not explaining things in more detail to her as to why it was a bad idea.
Like, you know what I'm getting at, right? Like,
oh no, I know what you're getting at, but like
explicitly gotten involved with life or death scenarios, and you know about this, and he tells you if you go here, there's a good chance you're going to die or worse, and you just go there anyway because you believe you can handle it. It's the fact that she explicitly says, like, I'm all for strong female characters. But this is one of those cases that almost seems like an argument to get, like, an author trying to, like, disagree with the idea of strong female characters, because she is very much in over her head and she thinks she's not. And that's very frustrating to read.
Yep.
The worst part is that this series does have some actual good female characters, like with...
Murphy, for example. Like,
Murphy, yeah.
Not quite at this point, but yes.
But even then, she did shoot. Like even in the last book, she did shoot like a Loop Guru, didn't she?
No. She shot the FBI agent. She shot the FBI agent.
Oh yeah, she shot the FBI. Oh right, the antagonists of the last series the last book were FBI agents who were so forgettable that we forgot to mention that
they were FBI agents. Yeah.
Yes. So like, it's just one of those things where you're just like, in a series where characters like Murphy and Lucio exist, it's very, very hard to feel any sort of sympathy for Susan.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not only that, she later turns around on him, and it's just like I just.
Mm-hmm. Susan's not a great character, honestly.
Yeah, like the amount of importance Susan has in the series, and especially the like, he kind of has a track record, right? Like, Jim Butcher's characters tend to fall into one of two scenarios. Badasses, or his female characters, right? They're either unrepentant badasses who are just awesome in every way, or they are people who think they're the first kind and aren't.
Well, no, there's also the evil femme fatale types.
Which is just like Butcher, please.
I mean, at least in some cases it's justified, but in other cases, yeah, nah.
Yeah, I'm just like, Butcher, please. Like,
Butcher clearly has a thing he likes going for.
And, like, it's not really always a good thing that he goes for it.
He also has a bit of a thing for incest, but we'll get to that later.
Oh god. Let's not talk about that until it actually comes up.
I think that's a good place to end.
Yeah.
On that note.
So, yeah, I just want to like go off on Susan a little bit more. It's just like,
Fuzzy, we get.
We can rant about Susan in later podcasts.
There's plenty more books to talk about how much of a fucking idiot she is.
Yeah.
Actually, I think she only appears in 2 other books after Great Peril.
Yes.
She's an idiot in the next book she appears in. In 12, though, that mess is entirely on Ebenezer.
Oh yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Partially, but we will talk about that later. So.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you to Dylan, who is we actually have a guest on our rotating cast of hosts, which is supposed to be the whole thing about the show. But we're like kind of bad at it, and as a result, we kind of don't really know people and have bad social lives, so we can't really get.
In fairness, kind of hard to have a social life right now.
Yeah.
We don't even have that social life on the internet, so it's just like, that's like extra pathetic.
Anyways, please tune in next week where we talk about One Piece, specifically the Skypiea saga, plus the Davy Backfight arc.
Gonna talk about Eneru?
Eneru? Hell yeah.
I love that guy. He's hilarious.
Anyways.
Also, he's kind of one of the biggest karma Houdinis in the series.
Yeah. I'll talk about that later. Anyways, thank you all so much for joining us. And, we will,
Yeah, so thank you for joining. Sorry, I spaced out there. I was supposed to be doing the outro. Thank you, Dylan, for joining us. Thank you, Jack and Mill, for being here as always. And
you're welcome.
Please look at the thing in the bottom right corner. We'll look back. And have a good night, everybody.
See you tomorrow for more D&D.
Oh, yeah.